What's going on, guys? This is the True Red Politician here, and in today's video, we're going to be discussing the absolute destruction of the. Well, I wouldn't say absolute destruction, but just another kind of beatdown for the establishment, at least at the state level in Indiana. And as you can see, we're going to get down, and we'll get to this map here in a second. But as you can see, a lot of these RINO incumbent, principled Republicans just absolutely got destroyed. If you look at the margins here, a lot of these state senators, they just lost. And this one's wait to be determined. It's too close. I honestly think the Trump-backed candidate might win because the votes that are left are literally like a couple, like literally a few dozen votes, and they're in like her county. So I think the RINO might lose here, but it'll be too close to call. But even if he doesn't lose and he narrowly survives, I mean, you're talking about 5 to 6 RINOs, state senate RINOs, that were up, because out of 8 that were up for re-election, or 7 or 8 of them that are up for re-election, and 5 or 6 of them lost. And again, this is not taking into account 2 RINOs that were up for re-election, but they decided to retire. They didn't decide to even try to fight. They just decided to retire. So you're talking about around 7 to 8 RINOs just losing out of the 21. Because you got to remember, there are 50 state senators in Indiana. 10 of them are Democrat, and 40 of them are Republican. 31 of, including the Democrats, so 31 voted no on this redistricting map. Right here, could have gave Republicans 2 more House seats. They could have gave Republicans 2, and they voted not to because they literally said they clung on to principles. And you gotta, believe in these principles that Democrats completely threw away, completely destroyed over the years, and they expect Republicans to follow them. And a lot of Republicans, especially in the South, don't follow those rules. Again, Florida, Texas, Tennessee, Louisiana, Alabama, most likely, even South Carolina. Speaking of which, the South Carolina House Committee just passed 12-2 the redistricting of getting rid of that Democrat House seat. And I honestly think the Indiana beatdown primary was probably a reason why they did that. But it's just like these RINOs just don't understand how to win, and a lot of them that lost were incumbents that had been in the state senate for 20 years, and it's like, like these Bush RINOs who just don't understand politics and don't understand that you can't have bipartisanship anymore with the Democrats because they're too far left. They're insane people, and you got to get rid of the RINOs and the losers that just don't understand how to win. Now, since 19 Republicans, not RINOs, voted yes, and 2 of the RINOs retired, and 5 or 6 of them lost their re-election bid. You only need 26 yes votes to have the new map. Now, the state Senate Majority Leader is a problem because he's one of the people who led the charge to veto the map. Now, the new Republicans who beat these RINOs in the original 19, I think, would have 26 to 27 votes. So they could potentially pass this map, but I think the state Senate Majority Leader might be a problem. Now, you can but get rid of the guy. You could replace him as Senate Majority Leader. I think you only need a simple 26 yes vote majority to replace him. Now, this map could happen in 2028 if that would come to fruition. I think it probably could, especially because again, Donald Trump said he's going to primary challenge this guy, the Senate Majority Leader, and a whole bunch of the other 21 RINOs who voted against the map. And again, I'm not saying we're going to get rid of every single one. Obviously, tonight we didn't get rid of every single one, but we got rid of a decent chunk. Out of the 21 that voted no against the map, we got rid of damn near half of them. We got rid of 7 or 8 of them, literally like 1/3 of them, if you include the retirements. So yeah, it was not a very good night for these Indiana RINOs, and it's just like the Mike Pences of the party. And again, like the state Senate literally said, like, oh, we're going to side with like Mike Pence and the RINO of the party. And again, this also goes to show, because if you look at the margins here, yeah, again, this just goes against the narrative that, oh, Donald Trump is losing his grip on the Republican Party. How many times do we have to hear this and reality strikes down, his absolute beatdown? Because just look at the margins. I mean, it's a lot of the, 50 points. It wasn't even close here. And obviously, I know state Senate elections are different compared to statewide or even House seat, um, you know, endorsements. I get that's different because these state senates are more localized and less, um, high propensity, or at least in terms of turnout. I get that, but these still matter, and this shows that Donald Trump still has his grip on the Republican Party. So a lot of these like fringe right weirdos saying, "Oh, Trump is losing his grip on the Republican Party. MAGA is dead." Yeah, and again, I think we're going to see that also potentially in Kentucky with Thomas Massey here in a couple weeks. I honestly think he's probably going to lose. And I think for a good reason. The guy's just being a clown, being a massive thorn at Trump's side. And I think, honestly, Thomas Massey's probably going to lose. Now, the margin, we'll see. But I think that's going to be a massive reality check if Thomas Massey loses his primary, which I think, honestly, he probably will. So, again, these are one of the state senators in Indiana. And we're just going to listen to this guy. Just making an ass out of himself. So yeah.
Well, I have one lesson for people: revenge and retribution is not a Christian value. That's what this was all about. There's life after serving in the Indiana Senate. We're going to find out what it's like.
So this guy says, revenge is not a Christian value, and like I have no, I have no bitterness or what. It's like this guy is a moron. You rather cling to principles and lose to the Democrats. Like, who do you think is more godly? The Republican Party right now or the Democrats? Because I think having open borders, transgenderism, for minors and children, but transgenderism in general, but like open borders, allowing drugs and all these just crazy things, and like allowing DEI and these woke justice reforms and letting criminals out of prison. Like, do you think that's a Christian value? Like, that's what's going to happen if Democrats retake the branches of government, and you're willing to lose on these principles because Bushism and Reaganism. Like, are you serious? This guy's a clown. And again, this is what's going on in the head of a lot of these RINOs who just don't understand how to win. And thankfully, we're slowly but surely getting rid of a lot of these RINOs, because people talk about the House and the Senate and the federal level of RINOs, which definitely matter for sure. But like a lot of these state legislators, there's RINOs too. They're causing problems that we need to get rid of. And Indiana is just another example of that. Thankfully, I think honestly, especially a lot of these, because again, it was such a beatdown that I think a lot of these RINOs in Indiana who voted no against the map in 2026, I think a lot of them are probably going to, at least some of them, might vote yes in 2028 to hopefully avoid a primary challenge. And I honestly think this map, potentially like a 9-0 map, could potentially go through in 2028. Like maybe Trump might cut a deal with the state legislators, like, okay, don't endorse a primary challenge, but we'll put through this map, because now they know, like, out of this, 7 or 8 of these RINOs that are up for election that Donald Trump endorsed to go against the RINOs, 5 or 6 of them lost. So, or 6 or 7 of them lost. So, and 2 have retired. They didn't even try. So, yeah, beat down. And they're definitely going to think twice. So, yeah, it's just overall just victory in Indiana, and just another, just slow walking of the establishment, because you can't have it happen overnight. But the Republican Party is just getting better and better. You have to get rid of these people. And again, I know we can't have perfect Republicans to replace the RINOs, but if you get decent upgrades who aren't just awful, you get like C tier, even B tier Republicans in there over the F and D tier RINOs. That is an upgrade, because those C tier or B tier Republicans can, they'll get their act together. Even if they're not perfect, they understand how to, where the wind is shifting, and they'll get their act together. So overall, a good night for Republicans and an L to the establishment, neocon, Bush, Mike Pence wing. So, anyways, guys, please like, comment, and subscribe, and see you guys next time. Later.